Someone is deeply, almost uncontrollably in love with you, and it is because of something you did without even trying to manipulate or force it. Please read this before it feels too late. This message did not appear in front of you by chance, and it is not just a dramatic hook meant to pull you in. There is a real reason your eyes paused here, a reason your focus slowed enough to stay, a reason something inside you gently nudged you to keep reading. It is because someone, a real person, someone you know now or once knew, is struggling internally at this very moment. And they are struggling because of you, not because you chased them, not because you begged them, not because you demanded answers, commitment, reassurance, or clarity, but because you stopped doing something they assumed you would always do. And that single change shifted everything in ways they never expected. Before we go further, welcome to Psych Lens. Remember to subscribe, tap the bell icon, and choose all notifications, because every message here is designed to shift how you see yourself and your relationships. Now let us begin softly. There was a moment in your life, quiet and almost unnoticeable from the outside, when you chose yourself. It was not loud, it was not dramatic. There was no big announcement, no emotional speech, no final explanation meant to convince anyone. There was simply a shift, a calm space where there used to be constant effort, a sense of peace where anxiety once lived, a pause where you used to over-explain and justify your feelings. You did not leave in anger. You did not disappear to hurt or punish them. You just stopped walking away from yourself. And the instant you did that, something inside them cracked open. Here is what they never expected. They believed you would always be there, always patient, always understanding, always forgiving, always waiting, always hoping that one day they would finally choose you fully. They believed your love was secure and guaranteed. And when someone thinks your presence is guaranteed, they stop protecting it. They stop prioritizing it. They stop caring for it with intention. They delay it. They put it off. They treat it like something they can come back to whenever it suits them. But then everything shifted. You stopped reminding them of your value. You stopped explaining why you were hurting. You stopped proving how loyal you were. You stopped bending yourself just to keep the connection alive. And that quiet space you left behind became painfully loud for them. This is where obsession quietly begins. People rarely fall deeply in love when they feel fully in control. They fall deeply in love when they suddenly realize they might have already lost you, when the emotional access they relied on disappears, when the comfort they took for granted is no longer available, when the safety net they assumed would always catch them is suddenly gone. Right now, whether they admit it or not, this person is replaying memories in their mind. Your laugh, your patience, the way you cared without keeping score, the way you stayed when leaving would have been easier, the way you listened without judgment, the way you saw them, even the parts they tried hard to hide. And the hardest part for them is this: they did not recognize your value while they still had access to your energy. They only felt it once your energy stopped reaching for them. They feel it even if they never say a word, even if they have not texted you, even if they act calm and unaffected on the surface, even if they keep themselves busy, even if they post smiles, distractions, and false confidence. They feel the absence deeply because you were not just someone who liked them, you were someone who truly saw them. And when someone loses the person who sees them clearly, they do not only miss the relationship, they miss the version of themselves that existed when they were loved by you. This is something Carl Jung understood on a deep level. He once said, "The greatest burden a child must bear is the unlived life of its parents." In adult relationships, a similar pattern appears. People carry their unlived parts into love, their fears, their unrealized potential, their hidden wounds. When you truly saw them, you touched those unlived parts. And when you stepped back, Those parts had nowhere left to hide. You did something uncommon. You did not harden your heart. You did not become cold or bitter. You did not seek revenge. You did not try to trigger jealousy. You did not turn your pain into a performance. You simply stepped back with self-respect. That level of dignity is magnetic. It sends a message without needing words. It says, "I know my worth, even if you failed to see it." And when someone realizes they underestimated a person who knows their own value, it shakes them deeply. Now consider what is happening inside their mind. Quiet questions repeat again and again, especially late at night or in moments of silence they try to avoid. Why didn't I choose them when I had the chance? Why did I assume they would always wait? Why does everything feel empty now? They scroll through their phone, they hesitate, they replay old conversations, they wonder if you have moved on, they wonder if they waited too long, they type your name and then erase it, because reaching out now means facing a truth they avoided for far too long. You were real and they were not ready. Carl Jung also said, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate." Your absence has forced their unconscious feelings to rise, emotions they buried, regrets they postponed, realizations they avoided. All of it is surfacing now because the distraction of your constant presence is gone. And here is what many people misunderstand. Someone being intensely in love with you does not automatically mean they know how to love you well. Love without maturity still hesitates. Love without healing still fears commitment. Love without growth still delays action. Feelings alone do not equal change. That is why this moment is not about you running back. It is about understanding what you awakened in them. You showed them what love looks like without pressure. You showed them consistency without control. You showed them emotional safety without manipulation. And now, without you doing anything at all, they are forced to feel the full weight of your absence. That weight is heavier than arguments, heavier than explanations, heavier than goodbyes, because silence invites reflection. Distance creates clarity, and space does work that words never could. Carl Jung once said, "Loneliness does not come from having no people around, but from being unable to communicate the things that seem important." You communicated what mattered through your presence, and now, through your absence, they finally understand what they lost. But here is the warning, and it matters deeply. If you return too quickly, if you break the silence too soon, if you rescue them from this discomfort, they will not grow. This space is doing work you never could do for them. This distance is teaching lessons your love already tried to teach. Deep down, you know this is not about punishment, it is about alignment. The right person does not wake up only after you leave. The right person chooses you while you are still there. They do not need the fear of losing you to value you. They value you because they see you. So why did this message reach you now? Because your heart is gentle, and gentle hearts often confuse love with responsibility. You feel their energy, you sense their regret, you may even dream about them. That does not mean you are meant to go back. It means the bond was real. But not every real bond is meant to last forever. Some are meant to complete a lesson. Carl Jung said, "What you resist not only persists, but grows stronger." They resisted growth while you were there. Now, without you softening the discomfort, growth is unavoidable. If they return, let them return changed. Not just missing you, not just lonely, not just afraid of losing you, but ready to choose, ready to show up, ready to love without hesitation. Anything less is the same pattern wearing a different mask. And if they never return, understand this clearly. You were never difficult to love. They were simply unprepared. Someone else, someone aligned with your depth, your growth, and your timing, will recognize you without confusion. no waiting, no uncertainty, no almost. And here is the final thought. The reason someone is so deeply in love with you is not because you chased them. It is because you stopped chasing and remembered who you are. And that is real power. Quiet power, steady power, unshakable power. Don't give this away yet. If these words touched something inside you, stay here with me. There is more you need to understand. And this is where it goes deeper, in a way most people never explain out loud. When you stepped back, it wasn't only your physical or emotional presence that left their life. What really disappeared was the mirror you were holding up for them. You reflected parts of themselves they did not even know were important. Your attention made them feel meaningful. Your patience made them feel secure. Your steady presence made them feel balanced. And when all of that quietly faded, it didn't just feel like losing you. It felt like losing their sense of stability. That is why their reaction is not logical or well thought out. It is emotional, internal, and deeply subconscious. At first, they told themselves comforting stories. They said you were probably busy, that you just needed space, that things would go back to normal, that you would return. They tried to distract themselves. Work, friends, entertainment, attention from other people. But distraction only works when the bond was shallow. What you built was not shallow. It had roots. And roots do not disappear just because someone stops looking at them. Then the second phase started. Confusion. They began to notice the silence at unexpected times, in the middle of a good moment, in the quiet before sleep, in the pause between notifications. Your absence started to echo, not loudly, but softly, and subtle discomfort is harder to escape than loud pain. It creeps in quietly. They started wondering why no one else felt the same, why conversations felt thinner, why laughter ended too quickly, why attention from others did not land the way yours once did. That is when comparison entered, not in a conscious way, but emotionally. Their nervous system recognized a kind of safety that was no longer there. This part is important to understand. They are not missing you the way someone misses convenience or entertainment. They are missing regulation. You helped regulate their emotions without even trying. Your presence lowered their inner chaos. Your consistency soothed their uncertainty. You grounded them. And when you stepped away, even gently, their internal system lost its balance. That imbalance is what feels like obsession. They replay interactions not just because they are romantic, but because their mind is searching for stability. They revisit what they said and what they didn't say. They think about where things shifted, when you stopped explaining, when your tone softened, when your effort changed. They are trying to locate the exact moment they lost control. And here is what hurts their ego the most. They slowly realize you didn't leave because you stopped caring. You left because you finally started caring about yourself. That realization is hard to escape. If you had left in anger, they could blame emotions. If you had left dramatically, they could blame conflict. If you had left loudly, they could label you unstable. But you didn't give them that story. You left calmly, with dignity and self-respect. That leaves them with one uncomfortable truth. You didn't need them to survive. And nothing unsettles someone more than realizing the person they underestimated is fully capable of moving forward without them. This is where internal bargaining begins. They think about reaching out, not with clarity, but with curiosity, not with commitment, but with testing, a casual message, a light check-in, something that doesn't require accountability, because part of them wants reassurance without responsibility. And this is where your restraint matters deeply. If you respond too fast, too warmly, too familiarly, the old dynamic returns. You signal that access is still available without growth, and the lesson stops right there. But when you don't rush, when you stay grounded, when you stop chasing clarity from someone who avoided giving it before, something powerful happens. They are forced to sit with themselves. And most people are uncomfortable there. They start noticing their patterns, how they delay decisions, how they assume people will wait, how they avoid choosing until pressure forces them, how they confuse emotional availability with permanence. These thoughts are not pleasant. They are confrontations, and confrontation with the self is where growth or regret is born. That is why the energy feels intense right now. You may feel it as sudden thoughts of them, random memories, emotional waves that appear without warning. That is not coincidence. When a bond was real, separation creates reverberation. Not because you are meant to return, but because something unresolved is being processed on both sides. But listen carefully. Processing does not mean reconnecting. It means integrating. You are integrating the version of yourself who chose dignity over overextending. They are integrating the realization that love is not something you pause and come back to later unchanged. This is where many people sabotage themselves. They confuse empathy with obligation. They think, now I understand them, so maybe I should help. But you already helped. You helped by loving sincerely. You helped by being consistent. You helped by showing up fully. The next phase of their growth cannot be carried by you. It has to be chosen by them. That is why this space matters so much. It feels uncomfortable. It feels quiet. It feels uncertain, but it is honest. And honesty is the only place where real transformation happens. You did not create obsession through manipulation. You did not pull away to gain control. You did not play emotional games. You simply stopped pouring energy into something that was not holding it properly. And now they feel the leak. They feel what happens when emotional supply is no longer endless, when access is no longer assumed, when love is no longer guaranteed. This is also why you may feel stronger and softer at the same time. Stronger because you are no longer chasing alignment. Softer because you are no longer armoring yourself to be chosen. You are allowing yourself to exist without negotiation. That is not weakness. That is integration. And here is something people rarely tell you. Even if they never return, this shift has changed you permanently. You will not over-explain just to be understood. You will not abandon your needs to keep a connection alive. You will not confuse consistency with self-sacrifice again. That is the real victory. From this point forward, you do not attract people who need to be convinced of your value. You attract people who recognize it naturally. Those people do not hesitate. They do not wait for silence to wake them up. They do not realize your worth only after distance teaches them. They choose you while they have you. So stay here. Stay grounded. Stay present. Stay unattached to outcomes. More is unfolding than you can see right now. And something subtle but important is also happening inside you, even if you cannot fully name it yet. When you stopped reaching outward, you didn't just create space in the connection. You created space inside yourself. Space where anxiety used to live. Space where anticipation once pulled at your chest. Space where you waited for replies, signs, reassurance. At first, that space feels unfamiliar. Quiet can feel unsettling when you are used to emotional noise, but that quiet is not emptiness. It is alignment beginning to form. At times, your mind still reaches out automatically. You think of them in moments you once shared. You imagine what they might be feeling. You sense the pull, not because you are weak, but because real bonds do not disappear overnight. They loosen slowly, layer by layer. The difference now is this. You are no longer betraying yourself to soothe that pull. And that changes everything. For the first time, the connection is no longer being held together by your effort alone. It is being held up by truth, and truth is heavier than effort. This is where people misunderstand what is happening. They think silence means doing nothing. They think distance is passive. But silence is active when it is chosen consciously. Distance is powerful when it comes from self-respect, not avoidance. You are no longer chasing clarity from someone who avoided giving it. And that, quietly and steadily, is where your power lives. You are no longer explaining your needs to someone who quietly benefited from not meeting them. You are no longer carrying emotional labor just to keep a connection barely alive. And that absence of self-betrayal has a kind of energy to it. They feel it, they sense it because the familiar dynamic they depended on no longer exists. The emotional flexibility they kept stretching without consequences has snapped back into place, and now they are forced to face themselves without your calming presence absorbing the impact. That is deeply uncomfortable. When someone no longer has access to your softness whenever they want it, they are forced to confront what they were taking from that softness all along. Validation, stability, emotional grounding, reassurance. You were a place where they rested without ever naming it that way. And now that place is gone. This is when the mind begins to wander into fantasy, but not the romantic kind. These are regret fantasies, alternate timelines, quiet inner questions that start with "if only I had," or "what if I had chosen differently," or "why didn't I take them seriously when I had the chance?" These thoughts do not come from sudden clarity or growth. They come from loss of access, and loss of access is one of the fastest teachers the mind has when it comes to value. But there is something happening beneath the surface that you need to understand clearly. They are not only missing you, they are missing the version of themselves that existed with you, the calmer version, the more open version, the version that felt seen without needing to perform or impress, the version that did not feel alone even when nothing was being said. That is why the longing feels so strong. It is not about possession, it is about disruption of identity. You were woven into their emotional system quietly and naturally, not forcefully or dramatically. And when you removed yourself, that system did not collapse all at once. It destabilized slowly, in subtle ways they could not ignore forever. This is why time feels strange now. For them, days may feel heavier, moments may drag, nights may stretch longer than usual. For you, time may feel clearer, but tender. You are not spiraling, yet you are not numb. You are present, and presence can feel raw when you are no longer escaping into effort or overthinking. This is often the phase where people begin to doubt themselves. Thoughts arise like, maybe I was too harsh, maybe I should check in, maybe I misunderstood something. This is where compassion tries to pull you back into taking responsibility for someone else's emotional growth. Pause here and ask yourself one honest question. Did you step away to hurt them, or did you step away to stop hurting yourself? Those two things are not the same. You did not withdraw to control the outcome. You withdrew because staying required you to keep shrinking yourself. And love that requires shrinking is not love. It is endurance. Carl Jung once said, "Where love rules, there is no will to power. And where power predominates, love is lacking." You stepped out of a dynamic where your love was being unconsciously used as power over your patience, your hope, and your willingness to wait. That is not failure. That is discernment. There is something else you may not see yet. By stepping back, you did not close a door. You removed the illusion that the door would remain open no matter how you were treated. That difference matters. If they are capable of growth, this moment will activate it, not instantly, but gradually. Growth is slow, it is uncomfortable, it is often invisible at first. Real growth does not begin with big promises or dramatic gestures. It begins with self-confrontation. And if they are not capable of growth, this moment still protects you. It prevents you from returning to a situation where your love carried all the weight. Either way, you are protected. But protection does not always feel victorious. Sometimes it feels lonely. Sometimes it feels quiet. Sometimes it feels like standing alone in a room after a long conversation ends. That does not mean you made the wrong choice. It means you chose yourself without applause. There is grief in that choice. Grief for what could have been. Grief for the future you imagined. Grief for the version of them you hoped would eventually show up. That grief is real, and it deserves to be acknowledged. But do not let it rewrite the truth. When you look back without nostalgia clouding your vision, the story is consistent. You offered honesty, you offered patience, you offered presence, and you stopped when continuing required you to abandon yourself. That is not abandonment. That is boundaries forming. Boundaries do not punish. They reveal. They reveal who is willing to respect them, who grows to meet them, and who disappears when access is no longer effortless. That revelation is unfolding now, and it is not your responsibility to manage it. You may feel moments of doubt because you are empathetic. You may feel moments of longing because the bond mattered. You may feel moments of curiosity because you sense a shift in energy. But awareness is not the same as responsibility. You are not responsible for how someone handles the consequences of their own hesitation. This is the phase where your nervous system begins to recalibrate, where you learn, not just intellectually but physically, that love does not have to feel anxious. That connection does not require erasing yourself. That waiting is not proof of devotion. And once your body learns this, it does not forget. That is why even if this person were to return unchanged, something in you would no longer allow the old dynamic to continue. You would not be able to unsee what you see now. That is growth. And growth cannot be reversed. So if everything feels suspended at the moment, understand this. It is not stuck. It is suspended between who you were and who you are becoming, between who they were with you and who they must become without you. That space is not empty. It is active. It is working. Stay with it. More clarity is coming. And now something subtle but important begins to shift inside you as well, even if you cannot fully name it yet. When you stopped reaching outward, you did not just create space in the connection, you created space inside yourself. Space where anxiety once lived. Space where anticipation used to tighten your chest. Space where you waited for replies, signs, reassurance. At first, that space feels unfamiliar. Silence can feel uncomfortable when you are used to emotional noise. But that silence is not emptiness. It is alignment slowly forming. In the beginning, your mind still reaches out by habit. You think of them in moments you once shared. You imagine what they might be feeling. You sense the pull, not because you are weak, but because real bonds do not disappear overnight. They loosen gradually, layer by layer. What is different now is that you are no longer betraying yourself to quiet that pull, and that changes everything. For the first time, the connection is no longer being sustained by your effort alone. It is being held up by truth. And truth carries more weight than effort ever could. This is where people often misunderstand what is happening. They believe silence is passive. They believe distance means nothing is happening. But silence is active when it is chosen with awareness. Distance is powerful when it comes